Welcome to the Queen's Conversations podcast, the official podcast for United Queendom LLC, hosted by Teddi Rene. Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of the Queen Conversations podcast. I am your host, Teddi Rene, and I am so grateful for you, whether you are a first-time listener or a listener from the beginning. Just know that I appreciate you. So we are here, season 2, episode 4, the second guest episode of the season. And let's just get into it, right? This episode is with the amazing Carter Sade. Krystal Carter Sade is a Michigan native who now resides in the District of Columbia. Early on, Carter developed a passion for helping others. It was because of this that she went on to attend Old Dominion University, where she received her bachelor's degree in human services, and later George Mason University, where she received her master's in public administration with a concentration in human resources. Throughout her career, she has volunteered and worked for various service organizations. However, she was unfulfilled. Carter soon realized that she had been given multiple gifts and talents, and she wanted to use them all. In 2015, she launched the Unashamed This Is Me blog, where she aspired to inspire men and women via her own journey to live their truths out loud, to stand in them, to own them, and to actively pursue purpose despite what their journey may look like to anyone else. Since then, this platform has evolved and allowed Carter to come from behind the keyboard, the pen, and the notebook, and to use her voice as well. In 2018, Carter decided it was time to put her connector skills to good use. She founded Hey New Friends LLC, which is a DC-based social circle for women who are looking to cultivate lasting, resourceful, fun, and rewarding relationships. Since its launch in July 2018, the group has doubled in numbers and is only getting bigger and better. Carter has been featured on podcasts, panel discussions, and interviews where she openly talks about her journey to entrepreneurship, her love for connecting people, music, and cultivating and hosting events. I'm so happy that you all are here with me and this conversation between Carter and I while we discuss Hey New Friends. I am Carter Sade and her future goals and aspirations, not only for herself, but for her business and her brand. So without further ado, here is season 2, episode 4 of the Queen Conversations podcast entitled New City, New Friends with our guest, Carter Sade. All right. So first, I just wanted to say thank you for joining me today and for agreeing to interview. And just wanted to give you some time to introduce yourself to the audience. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Well, hello, everyone. I am Krystal. Most people do know me as Carter Sade. Interesting story that we could probably talk about. I am the founder and CEO of Hey New Friends, as well as the Carter Sade brand. I am an event host, a blogger, and anything else you probably need me to be.
Nice. All right. So what is Hey New Friends? Is that a social group? Is it an organization? What is it? And just tell us a little bit of like how you got started.
So Hey New Friends is a social circle for women who are looking to cultivate lasting, resourceful, fun, and rewarding relationships. And it got started because literally I moved to the DMV and I knew people from college, so to speak, from Virginia. I went to Old Dominion, go Monarchs. And so I knew people in college, but when I got to DC, I didn't really know anybody. And so, exploring a new city and trying to get to know people and figure out what's hot and what the things to go to can be hard when you're by yourself. So I really realized that I needed friends because I was like, if I had people around to tell me like, hey, go to this event or network with this person, I probably would have got out the house a little bit more. And so then I realized how hard it was to make friends when you move to a new city and you don't know anybody. And so I literally created Hey New Friends off the strength of that, being by myself and not knowing like, who can I go to get my hair done? Who's the best eyebrow lady? Like, I just need to know these things. So I created a group for people who are like new to the city, or even if you're not new to the city, you're in the area and you're looking for new friendships. Like, I just wanted to create a community for women like that.
Nice. And that it's definitely, and my next question is, why did you feel that was needed or necessary in the community? Like, why was that what you decided to create?
Because I started going to things by myself. So I got, I was like, okay, I'm single. You read all these books and people are like, just start going to the movies, go to dinner dates, take yourself out. Like, so I started doing stuff like that. Like, okay, I got to put myself out here. This is how I'm going to meet people. And it wasn't even necessarily to meet a partner, but for me, it was like just to have conversations. And so like going to the bar and having bar talk and just meeting random people, I started to be connected to a bunch of different things. And I'm like, you know what? Like I started to meet other people who had just moved here and was like, what's the best restaurants? I don't have anybody do my hair, just small things. I'm like, okay, this is definitely a need. Because, as a woman, you want to go somewhere, you want to have like your stuff together. Like I know in Michigan, I got a girl who braid my hair for $60. Like I need to know these things when I go somewhere else and still want to be presentable. So I figured it was a need because if you're going to go somewhere else and like build a lifestyle, you have to be a part of the community, but you want to feel like you belong. Like you got to have that sense of belonging, or you decide to like, okay, I'm going to go back home or move somewhere else. And you're going to keep going into the same problem if you don't establish yourself somewhere. Like,
right. Nice. And you know what though? It's funny that you say that because like we were just talking about before, like I just moved to Waldorf from PG County, which is not far. Well, I mean, it's a flight, but whatever, running joke, whatever. But like even moving out here, like my biggest issue, and anyone who follows me on Twitter knows that my biggest issue right now is finding a black nail tech out here that will do my nails, and they won't be lifting a week later or snapping off, and they charge me $150 for something that I'm used to paying $70 for. And then also my hair braider, because there is not only is this new trend of hair braiding, like there's like so many people who come here or who create braiding businesses, and it's not the quality that I'm used to. And it's like, or it takes forever. And then it's still.
I do not like, I love braids, but I hate sitting still. So like I'm 4 hours, like 4 hours max, maybe 5 at a stretch.
Yeah, I'm at the point now where I'm 4 hours, like, but that's just because that kind of became the trend. But it feels like I'm sacrificing quality now just for the compensation of time, which is cool when, it's something that I really need quick. Like right now I have this fro, like it needs to be washed. We need to find a braider quickly. However, my issue is, and I know people are like, Teddi, you're nitpicky, but I'm very particular about my parts. Like, like I
don't put a big square in the middle and then put little ones like
exactly. Like I know like this whole kind of like homemade braid style, like is the style where they're parting your hair in straight lines. Like
that's not the knotless braids, right?
Yeah, not the knotless. I like those. Those are cute. Yeah. But like instead of because you know how like when you get your hair braided, they're supposed to braid like part in the window. So that the braids fall properly. But there's a trend where they're literally just doing rows and rows of just parts. And then you see like just scalp, and it's cute on other people. It's a cute, quick do. It's cute if you're doing it yourself. But if I'm paying you $100+ to do my hair, like I expect you to part properly so that as my new growth grows, like my parts don't just separate, they just fill in, So I did an entire Twitter rant on these long, like booty length red Senegalese twists because they were.
I really want to try those. I've never had them.
They were so cute, but they were parted so wrong that I kept them in for maybe 3 weeks because as soon as my hair starts growing, the parts get bigger. And then, so this part is just and I was just like, if these were parted right, I could keep these in for another 3 weeks. But
it sounds like they're doing it like the crochet braids, like
just like that, just straight back. The way that looks. And that's my issue with crochet. So I'm glad that I'm not the only person, and that I'm very particular about my braids. Like never have I ever gone anywhere with braids and someone not say, "Oh my God, your braids are like perfect," because. That's just like, but out here in Waldorf, like it's hard for me to find that. And again, I didn't make a huge move from Michigan to DC. So I absolutely
you still know what you like. And so, I use hashtags all day, DMV braiders.
And I definitely, trust me, I definitely have been on your page and was like, oh, let me call this person and see if they're free. Oh, let me see.
And that's why I always try to share a hairstyle. It's like, I love it when I find some good ones.
Absolutely. So definitely a need. And even for just like people who are locally and just like shifting in different areas. Cause I've lived in Columbia. I lived like Columbia, Maryland, not Columbia. I've lived in PG County, like all over the place. And in every area, like you want things that are convenient to you, but also quality. Yep. So, definitely a need for that. So in creating Hey New Friends, right, and even with your Carter Sade brand, what was the biggest obstacle for you in getting that started? Like, actually, once you decided that this is what you wanted to create, and you wanted to create something, I guess, official, but not, it's official when you decide. But once you decided, like, what was the biggest obstacle for you?
Just piecing it all together, because I still struggle with that day to day. Like it's so much that I want to do and so much that I want to put under this umbrella, just trying to make sure it makes sense and where things fit and when to roll out certain things. Like, that's the biggest obstacle, because I'm like, I need all of this stuff done at one time, and then I want people to see it and be like, boom, it's done. Click the website. She does this, and that. And then all of the pieces of the puzzle, they're just not ready. So it's like, I can't have everything that I want in that one moment. So the biggest obstacle is just learning, to trust the process and to be okay with things not moving as fast as I want them to. For example, our year anniversary is coming up and I still don't have a website. Mm-hmm. And I've worked with 2 different people to create a website, and it still has yet to happen. And so I was just talking to my best friend. I'm like, I'm thankful that I have all of these supporters and these people who come out to support events. And then when you start talking about sponsorship and moving to businesses, people like to see websites. And so I get frustrated. I really get frustrated when everything's not all together. But I'm like, Krystal, this was an idea. It's manifesting. The people, the right connections, the things that you need to make this happen is going to come. But continue to do what you're doing. Use what's in your hand right now. So my biggest obstacle is just getting out of my own way, being patient, and just realizing that I can do everything I want to do, but not in one day.
Gotcha. And I'm glad that you realized that. And I'm happy you the theme for this season, and then for just everything that I'm doing under United Queendom and Teddi Rene is absolutely just what you said, getting out of your own way so that you can have the success that you want. But we're going to talk about the website thing once we're done interviewing. We're going to make sure that you get that. Okay. And I'm writing my little notes now and anyone who ever listens to me talk know that I'm absolutely going to say you need to be a part of Minwo. We'll talk about that as well. But yeah, those are the things you can absolutely have it all, but it is just a matter of understanding that you may not be able to have it all right now in this moment exactly the way that you
and that you can't do it by yourself, because I'm a creative and a visionary. I know I can see it. I can't put it together. I can tell you what I want the brand to look like, but I might not tell you what my logo is supposed to look like.
Exactly.
I need somebody else to do that. When I see it, I'm like, boom, that's it.
Right.
But I can't be use this color, use this script. That's just not me.
And that was going to be my next question. If you are doing everything solo, or if you have a team.
So I'm literally doing everything by myself plus one. And so my plus one is my best friend. And I'm so grateful for her, because she moved here from Michigan as well, last year. So July was her year anniversary. And when she moved here, I had just got, I had the idea in college, but I had just said, okay, I'm going to do a brunch and I'm doing this. And so her first month of being here, she came to my very first event. And so she's super creative. She has a clothing line. Shout out to Krystal Carter Sade. We have the same name. So she's very creative. And so she is a naturally an event planner, and she doesn't realize it. So whenever I have these ideas now, she's in the background oh, we can get this, we'll buy this, we'll put this together. And I think that I'm just so thankful for my best friend, because it was really just me. But she's a key player in all of my success with this, all of it.
Nice. Well, shout out to best friend Sade.
Yes.
So now my next question is think about your journey, right? So far. Is there something, or what is one thing that you thought about this journey was going to be very, very easy that turned out to be far more difficult than you expected?
I think what I thought would be easy was influence, honestly, because I just have this natural, people's personality, and people gravitate towards me. And because of that, I'm I'm going to start doing events, and all of these people are going to show up, and it's just going to be great. And then you start having events and you get 5 people, and you wait, where's the support?
Right.
Where's the support? And then people come with these excuses, and they have their own plans. And then you realize that, people might like you, but they don't necessarily support what you're doing, especially if you put a dollar amount. If you tie a dollar amount to it. So when it's free, sometimes they'll all come out. And then when it's there's a dollar amount, some people don't show up. And sometimes that does hurt my feelings, because I put a lot of money into
right.
them. And it's events, they're not cheap.
Yeah, right.
Caterers, everything else is just not cheap. And I want to create unique experiences. So I want people to come to my event and be that was really nice. Like I had a great time there, and make it memorable. And so you kind of depend on ticket sales and numbers and people to show up if you're going to initially put out all of this money like up front. And so that can just be a little disappointing, but yeah, it was definitely an obstacle for me. I think it was a humbling moment because I was like, oh, people like me, they'll naturally come to my events. Not the case. It doesn't happen like that. Like God was like, no, like that's not your crowd. Even though you think it's your crowd, that's not the people that I'm bringing to you.
Right.
So I'll keep going through your seasons and they'll weed out and they'll come together. So now I just hold on, and I'm thankful for the steady 30 that show up to everything. And then I just look forward to whoever else I'm going to meet. I'll be like, okay, this isn't my official tribe yet.
Yes. I love it. And that is very difficult, especially when you're stepping out. Like you said, like when you're used to people just coming to you and being friendly.
Yeah.
When you start business, it is a whole nother situation. Like now you're gone from friends and family to consumer base. And that's absolutely one of the first things that a lot of people learn is that your friends and family and the circle that you have now are not the people that are going to make your business successful.
Oh, and you can't solely depend on that. And then like another obstacle would be like, you just learning professionalism. Like with the 9-to-5, like I get it, I have one, but when you're managing your own business, you have to be like on top of everything, whether it's like contracts, which I knew nothing about, like contracting, or just like the courtesy of responding to emails in a timely fashion. I'm learning that because I'm horrible. Like I'm getting it together. I finally put email on my phone because I refused to because of work, like my regular job. They email me so much. I was like, I'm not putting email on my phone, but I'm like, for your own business, you need to have your email on your phone. Like you have to do that and respond within a certain amount of days. So just learning like etiquette, like obstacles like that is like etiquette for me.
Nice. So on the flip side, so what was something that you're learning or have learned that you initially thought was going to be really, really hard and it turned out to be a lot easier?
Putting the event together. Like, cause I thought that because I'm a visionary and I'm not a creative. I think I counted myself out in terms of like, I'm a creative, but not in a way of putting an event together. So I always felt like I could say what I want, what type of event it be, but I would need somebody else to do all of the details. But like even working with my best friend, she's like, you have really good ideas. Like you really do know what you want it to look like. You might not have a color scheme, but you have an idea, like a visual of what you want it to look like. And so now because, being a people's person and meeting a lot of people and having resources, it's easy for me to be like, oh, I know a caterer. Oh, I know a person that does this. Oh, she can do the cupcakes. Oh, this person can, whatever it is in their field and their expertise. That part was like actually a lot easier than I thought it would be, because I'm like, you have all of these resources, use them. Like use the resources. And I didn't think about it that way.
Well, that's good. That's a good thing to realize. Like, so what types?
A lot of people. I'm sorry to cut you. You can know a lot of people, but how are you using like the connections that you made? That's my thing. I used to always have a problem with like, oh, I know somebody that does that, but I was never using them in any type of way. It's like, girl, like get it. You can make stuff happen. You got the people.
So I was just about to say, so like what types of lessons or relations or things have you learned from the relationships that you've been building as you're building your brand? Like, are there anything specifically that you can remember, like kind of like top of the mind, something that was just kind of just jumps at you?
I think the first thing that comes to mind is the issue of money and going into something and never becoming too money hungry if you decide to do a partnership with somebody. And so what I think is that you realize that you both have value. Like if I decide to do an event with somebody, I realize that we both have value and we both have a goal. We're building a brand, because usually I work with a lot of people who are like me, just getting started, aspiring entrepreneurs. Like we are just getting our footing, like getting to get comfortable to where we can go to the next level. And sometimes when money gets involved, people get ahead of themselves and it's like, oh, well, I can just do it by myself. You really didn't do much, or you didn't help me do, like you did this much, but I did this much. So I think I can get paid more. And so what I realized is that like money I don't like dealing with it. Like a lot of stuff that I do for free. And I just got into the conversation of learning how to like market myself and be okay with charging prices, because I wasn't okay with that. Like I just wanted to do stuff, help people like free willy nilly because it was natural to me. And then I realized that like, it's okay to be paid for what you're doing, but I don't ever want to be in a situation where I'm putting money at the forefront to where it's dividing the relationships that I've made, because I think we can create memorable experiences and moments if we work together. And if we're blindsided by the money, then the bigger goal is missed. Like if we're bringing together an event for women or men or whatever else the mission is, like that should be the bigger picture. Like it shouldn't be like the money goal, like money shouldn't sever the relationship. And then what I've also learned is it's okay to say no, because a lot of people recognize your influence or your potential before you do. And they try to like tell you what you can do with your brand, and it might not be in line with what you know you're supposed to be doing, whether it's spiritually or personally. And so you end up saying yes to opportunities that you ain't got no business being a part of. And so I had to learn, because like I used to get approached by party promoters like all the time. I don't even like the club. Like, I don't. Like, I'm just like, this is not my thing. People's like, it's easy money. You have a following. Like, you just use your brand, use your following. And then I'm like, but I don't want the people to think that my brand is like club promotion. Like, no knock to people who do it, but it's just not my brand.
Right.
So, like, again, it went back to money. Like, do you need the money this bad that you're willing to like sell yourself short in what it is that your brand is aligned with just to get a quick dollar? Like, no.
Right. I'm going to say after a while, it's just like, you have to know what your path is. So how did you figure out what you wanted your brand to be and what types of things, so that you can identify what types of things align with your vision?
It was really trial and error. So I realized once I started saying yes to stuff, like at first I'm like, okay, this is a great opportunity. Everything can sound like a great opportunity. And I would say yes to a lot of stuff, and then my spirit will be unsettled. Like, things will happen in the process. I'm just like, this is uncomfortable. Or like, guys, I'm sorry to say it, some men, like, they try to have partnerships with you and utilize your following and things like that, and then they try to like you later. Like, it's just weird. Like, stuff just becomes uncomfortable for me, and I'm just like, this is not my market. Like, I don't want to be a part of this arena. But I really just go off intuition and how I feel in my soul. Like, it was causing me not to be able to sleep at night. So if I had to think about this throughout the night and I can't sleep, then it's probably something that I'm not supposed to be doing, because I'm not at peace with the idea. Right. And I will go back to like, I'm an advocate for like idea journals. So I've had an idea journal since maybe my sophomore year in undergrad, which would have been 2011. Undergrad. And I go back to see, like, I will write down visions of things that I wanted to do. Like, before I even knew it was a brand that I was created, I was just writing down things that I knew that I personally wanted to do. And so now it's crazy, because I go back and I look at my idea journals to see like the type of stuff that I wrote down, and the things that I'm doing now are in line with what I knew I initially wanted to do. So sometimes I think that if I get off track and I'm trying to realize like, wait, is this a part of it? I go back and read like how I poured my heart out about the stuff that I wanted to do. And I'm like, okay, this isn't, but this is, like, and I try to stick to that.
Nice. So, you had the idea journal since 2011, but like, what were you went to ODU? So what was your major? Was it anything related to what you're doing now?
It was human services.
Okay.
So, it was crazy, because now I'm in HR as a 9-to-5, and I'm a people's engagement specialist. But when I was in undergrad, had I known about HR, I probably would have done HR in undergrad versus just doing human services, because unfortunately ODU didn't offer social work. And that's really what I wanted to do. I wanted to do social work. I knew that I wanted to do prisoner reentry programs. Actually, that's what I wanted to do. And so I laugh now, because with Hey New Friends, it's hard. Like, sometimes it was hard for me because I'm a woman's woman, but I was never the woman's empowerment group type person. Like, I always wanted to work with men. And so my background is that, I was raised by my father. So growing up with the men and then with all my uncles, I naturally wanted to help them. And so when I left ODU, I did like some work at like St. Bride's Correctional Facility and like juvenile detention centers. And I was always drawn to like men and little boys, like helping them find employment. And so, but then I got burned out really fast, and people used to be like, you don't belong, behind the walls. Your personality is too vibrant. And so I decided to switch, and I ran into HR, and I'm like, I like this. I like training and development. I still like helping people find a job, figuring out your career, where you fit in. And I'm like, but I like, public relations too. But I decided to go ahead and stick with HR, but my passion still aligns with prisoner reentry. So with the Carter Sade brand, the whole Unashamed This Is Me movement, I want to get back into that. Like, so I'm doing what I want to do, but in another way.
Nice. So you said you work in HR during the day, and then you're doing all of these wonderful things in the community. How have you taken or leveraged your experience, like from your 9-to-5, to help you with your entrepreneur journey?
It helped me be organized. Because, when you're working for somebody, you got, you have a boss, you have a supervisor who expects you to meet deadlines. You have stuff that you have to get done. You can't give a half done product. Like, you have to learn the ropes, like getting a job. Like, you learn like how to operate professionally. So it helped me within my businesses because I'm like, okay, there's contracts. Okay, you know, I can't present a half-done idea or product. Like everything has to make sense if you're going to share your idea with somebody else. And then the whole thing of time management, like having deadlines, being on the schedule, because when you work for yourself sometime and you're working on your own projects, it's easy to say like, oh, I'll do that next week. Oh, or I'll do that in the morning. It comes natural to me. It doesn't take long. Like I'll finish it when I got time. Like it'll be quick. And you don't put that much effort into the product that you do at work. So it's like, you got to make sure you're doing the same in your 9 to 5 and in your personal business, because at the end of the day, your personal business is what you should value more because it's yours.
Right. I'm about to say, and that's a common. Oh wait, it's making sure I wasn't on mute. See it? We talked about that. But that's a common theme. Like everyone that I've interviewed so far for this season has said something to that same effect of when you work for yourself and you have the freedom to create your own schedule, oftentimes you will push things off and procrastinate. Yeah. Procrastinate.
I am a procrastinator, and I know that the first step to fixing the problem is admitting that you have one. And I have admitted that to myself, and I am working on it day by day. Like I have to set alarms. I have to write it down and say, this is what you're doing today, and get it done. Like I have to force myself to do it.
And those are and literally that is exactly how you overcome it. So, you know, like if you've been on my page and everything, like procrastination is like my thing. Like that's like, that is the very basic things as you just said, setting an alarm, writing it down, committing to whatever it is you say you're going to do, like is bare minimum exactly how to overcome it. So,
and then you can't like, if you ask God for something and he starts giving it to you, you can't just be throwing it to the side. Like you ask for these meetings, you ask for all of these meetings, you be like, oh, I don't feel like talking today. Okay, I'm sorry. Like you got to talk.
Exactly. Look, I'm going to say, because here we are on this Sunday, right? And Sundays are my day where I do only the things that I want to do. Now, fortunately, I like doing interviews.
Right.
However, sometimes I would rather be laying in my bed on this Sunday than doing an interview.
That is so me. Like I just told you I was going to go to the beach, but if I would have been like, oh, I can't meet with you today because something came up, then I would have been like, Krystal, like that's not okay.
So we are not alone in that. Yes, we have preferences, but when it comes to the grander picture of our vision, we do what we got to do.
Right.
So, good. Happy to be in the like-minded company.
Yes.
All right. So give us some information or some insight on like the types of events that you have, or maybe like what has been your favorite event that you've thrown and why?
My favorite event, I have a few, but I think my ultimate favorite event would have been the vision board party. And honestly, we're probably going to do something similar to it again this year, but not in the terms of making a vision board, because Lord knows finding all those magazines was a hassle, because we're in an age now where people don't even have magazines. Like we don't have magazines. So I sent out email listservs to get all of these magazines. It was just so stressful because I didn't want people to have to bring any magazines. I wanted to be able to provide everything, which is, I probably should have said like, bring your own magazines, but I didn't. But that was my favorite event because I got to see what it is that people have aligned for their life. Like I'm really big on purpose and goals and figuring out what's next for you, like personally, because I feel like I made a lot of decisions about my career based on my parents at first. And then once I realized that they were okay with me deciding and choosing my own path, like the gates of heaven just literally open for me. And I'm just really I'm really into figuring out what it is that motivates people. Like what is it that makes them happy? Like what does happiness look like to them? So that was probably my favorite event. Like, and just now seeing, checking in with them and seeing how things are manifesting. And on my vision board, the reason I got into it is because I did my very first vision board 2 years ago. And when I did it, everything on it came true. So after that, I was sold. Oh girl, you got to do a vision board. Check it off as you go because stuff be happening. At least that's what I thought. And so this is why I did the vision board. And that was my favorite event. I want to do something else similar, but definitely not with the copy paste board thing.
Yeah, I'm going to say I did my first. So when I was switching careers, I did a digital vision board because I don't do magazines. So I literally just went from website to website and picked out different photos and things. And I think my first one was 2016. It was my 2017 vision board. So I wanted to see it was 2015. I had my 2017 vision board. And I wanted to see I wanted all these IT certifications and I wanted to go to Disney World with the kids. And I had my income that I wanted and all of that. And some of that stuff didn't happen that year. When I did my vision board for the following year, instead of like just transferring it on there, like I still like one-upped it. And by the end of that year, everything from the first vision board had been done, and then most of the stuff from the second one. So there literally is really some power in making a visual, physical thought, like vision of what you want in your life. And I do now. I'm a Pinterest girl. Like it's my.
I'm trying. I be pinning stuff, but I'm like, what did you pin this for? My pins are so random. Like,
so yes, I use Pinterest now. So everything in my pins, like when it comes to like the end of the year or whenever I decide to do like a vision board or whatever, like I use my pins. So like throughout the year, I'm looking at stuff and I'm like, oh, that would be nice. Oh, that's cute. Oh, that's something I'd be interested in. But then I'll go back and I'll say, okay, so this is really what I want to work on for next year. And it just, I'm super organized. So it like makes it easier.
I'm trying to be, like I said, I like Pinterest. I get on there. I got the app on my phone. I don't know what else to do with it. I just scroll like, oh, that's a good workout. Maybe I should try that. Or a recipe.
So I'm going to have to follow you on Pinterest so you can look at, I have like my personal board, which has like all me and the kids stuff, hairstyles, clothes. Like we just joined Stitch Fit, so, like stuff like that. And then like I have like the Teddi Rene board and the board for United Kingdom and the board for Paraphernalia University. And they're very different.
So if I could learn how to navigate it in that way, I would use it.
Yeah. So I'm gonna follow you just so you can look at them and maybe it'll help. But Pinterest absolutely helps with, like you said, manifesting your vision and vision board. So what other types of events have you done? So you've done the vision board parties.
Yeah, we've done the vision board party. We did, we try to do a book club. So I like reading, but I know a lot of people don't. And so I try to, like, I know there's a lot of like book clubs in the DMV too, but with like Hey New Friends, I try to encompass like a lot of different things, like I said, under one umbrella. So even if we don't have like a consistent book club where we're reading a book every month, we might read a book every other month or every other month, whatever makes sense to us within our group. So we did the book club, and that was really good because it was just like digging deep within yourself and just figuring out who you are as a woman, the things we accept and why. So like a lot of self-development. And I like that. Like I like digging deep and doing the work because it makes you uncomfortable, but it has like great benefits in the end. So we did that. Vision board, we did self-empowerment. We do outings because sometimes I just feel like we just need to get out, get together in good conversation, have a good time. So that was like the Danny event where we went to the movies and we went and had sangrias. The sangrias are great.
So like the Danny event. Yes, Danny, we were talking about you.
So in the sangrias, they were really good. And then we did like, they wanted to focus on their vision boards. A lot of them put like health and wellness. So we went hiking and was like Black girls, #BlackGirlsDoHike. That was hard. That was extremely hard because we met this nice couple who I guess, apparently they hike like all the time. And so they started taking us on routes. Like we chose like, the beginner little intermediate route. They started taking us up and down hills, like we were climbing up the side. Like we got a full workout, and that's not what we really signed up for, but it was definitely worth it. And so with our anniversary event, it's actually a pool party, which should be like really, really fun too. And then going forward, we're going to do things like just digging in deep into like personal goals, whether it's credit repair, buying into real estate. We have girls in the group who are like getting their different certification and things. So we got people who want to do yoga courses. We got estheticians. So we're just doing a bunch of different things that I guess girls would like.
Nice.
Girls like, and then I, of course, want to get into like entrepreneurship and helping people start businesses if that's something that they're interested in.
Nice. So you were mentioning that you were helping people before like find jobs and where they like fit in and things. Is that something that you still do or something that you're offering as a service or eventually will?
Eventually I will, because I think I'm supposed to be a consultant in so many ways. Right now I do resumes with my friends for free. It's not something I take seriously in the moment, but it's something I'm definitely passionate about. Just like if I have a resource or a connection, just being able to plug the person into that, or just lending 5 minutes to redo a resume and aligning their career goals.
Right.
That's something I can see myself doing in the future.
Well, that's good to know. Good to know for my own personal network reasons. So let me put that in my little notes too. So if you could, where do you see Hey New Friends in the next 5 years? Like, what does it look like 5 years from now? What is that? 2024?
Yes.
Let's just say 2025. In 2025, what does Hey New Friends look like?
In 2025, I hope to have at least 5 locations. So I want like a Hey New Friends Houston, a Hey New Friends Chicago, in major cities. Like, because usually like major cities is where people move to, you know, they get to the city and then they don't know nobody. So I want Hey New Friends to be in at least 5 different major cities. And then I want to be able to come together yearly as a collective. And so we're actually doing this year, well, go ahead and announce it. We'll be announcing next month that we're doing our first Hey New Friends trip. So like we're going to go to Paris, we're going to go to London, like these different things. And so the first one will actually be a Caribbean trip to the islands. We'll get ready to announce the details for it next month. So I just wanted to be able to, there to be sister groups in different states and people get to come together in the end for like a big old retreat. So like,
nice.
It's funny because people always tell me like, I feel like you're creating a sorority, but I'm not Greek. So I'm like, I guess in a sense, because I do the part where we do like giving back to the community. Like we did the toiletry drive. We did volunteering at the Ronald McDonald Shelter. And then we do like youth programs where I go in and actually talk to students about entrepreneurship. So it's like we have so many different pillars within one umbrella. So I guess it is like our own sisterhood.
Nice. And there's always a need for more of those. Absolutely. So I'm excited about the trip. Like I have been presented lately with a lot of Black woman led, just like things that, you know, someone said, hey, I can do this. And I feel there's a need. And then it's grown into something enormous and amazing. So like, I'm super excited because like now it seems like all of those little pods are starting to travel together because it's like, who else would you travel with? Like you travel with the people you trust.
Exactly.
How would
a lot of people don't go because like they just don't have anybody to go with. So you wouldn't would necessarily go to different countries because you're like, why go there? So for example, I went to Croatia. I would have never went to Croatia. I never knew anything about it in Europe and I had never heard of it. But when I went to school at Mason, I met these girls who were in the program and they told me about it. And I went, and from there, I'm like, I want to explore the world. Like there's just so much more to see. And if I could offer that to a bunch of different people, like I think travel groups are amazing.
I do too. Travel groups is number one, and I'm literally drafting the blog now. So by the time this episode comes out, it'll be on there. But it's like 3 ways to travel without breaking your pockets. And one way is find not just one, but a lot of different travel groups, because even though a lot of people, like when they're starting out, like, of course, they start out going to similar places, but as their demographics change and the interest of their group, becomes more obvious, they start to venture off into completely different places. So like I've been traveling with the Greek Getaway, which was previously, I don't even remember what it was at this point. I know it was the Greek Getaway. Now it's GTA. But I was traveling with them for a couple of years now. They go that very first week of January. And it's opened up the doors for a lot of people to travel, to meet new people. You don't have to be Greek to go. And then like there's like the HBCU alumni group. And then there's Gravel. And there's so many groups. And like I know like No Madness and Black and Abroad. A lot like have really, really good trips. Mm-hmm. They're at a point now where they are doing the trips that you want to do, but you got to definitely have the coins to do it. So it's like there are groups for every level.
Like some spots in Africa, you have to have the coins.
Exactly. Right. But it's like that's something that you know from that group. Like if you want to do that type of trip, that is the group to go with. There are absolutely different levels of travel groups for anyone who wants to travel. There are mom groups for people, single moms who want to travel with kids. There are mom groups for single moms who want to travel without their kids. Travel is something I absolutely, absolutely love. And I'm excited. So how can someone get information on all of that you're doing with Hey New Friends, the traveling, the events and everything? Where would they find information? How can they join the email list? We're going to get you a website. So we'll have that.
We'll have a website soon, hopefully. But yes, we are on Instagram at Hey New Friends. And if you go there, you'll see information to subscribe to our mailing list where we send out our monthly meetups, and we also share services in the area that we find to be very beneficial. And then once you're a part of that, we connect you to our group meet. So we have a chat where we talk to each other all the time. So we stay connected. So if you have that moment when you're like, oh, I want to go out, but I have nobody to go with, ask somebody in the group, you'll automatically have a partner. So you can connect with us on Instagram at Hey New Friends.
All right. So then just about your group, like what's the, what's the demographic? Like, do you have single women?
This is why I love it. So I think that because I was like, right now, I'm single. I don't have any kids. And I'm like, so what does that look like as Hey New Friends evolve? Because I wanted to stay. I want to be able to be a part. And so it's funny because I actually want to start having events where people can bring their children. But so right now we have singles, we have moms, we have women who are married. We have anybody from the ages of 21 to literally 42. So it's so spread out, but it's I love it because we learn from each other. So even the older women in the group, they're able to pour into us in different ways and share different life lessons. And even the youngins in the group, get them hip to different things that, they might not know about, even if it's something as simple as branding on social media, whatever they're talking about. So the group is definitely very mixed. There's singles, there's married couples, there's mommies, and then there's the mommy list like me. And I'm always oh, your baby's so cute. But so it's definitely mixed. I think that when it comes to different events, they pick and choose what they want to be a part of, but we try to have something for everybody. So you'll be able to say, okay, that's something I want to go to, or, oh, they're doing happy hour. Maybe I don't want to do that, but I'll go to book club. So you're able to pick out what it is that you want to do.
Nice. Well, that's always good to know. Being a single mommy with 2 kids.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, boy, those kids. It is absolutely difficult to go out. I have friends, and I mean, of course I have friends because, but I have friends, and a lot of my friends don't have kids. And then some of my friends who do have kids are married. And then some of my friends who don't have kids are married as well. So we don't always enjoy the same things, or we can't always go out, or I can't always go because I don't have a sitter and it's not kid friendly, or I can go and it's kid friendly and I don't have the kids. So it's having a variety, a mix of people sounds amazing.
Yeah, it is. And it's so funny because I had a girlfriend. She's like, I picked out my bathing suit for the pool party. And my husband was like, why do you think you're wearing that? To a pool party. And she's like, you do know, this is an all girls pool party. And then he's like, oh, okay.
Right. It's different.
Yeah. And I was thinking that had me thinking okay, as I age and when I do get married, I do have a family. I always wanted to be open to everybody to where you feel like you can be a part of it. And it's not just exclusive to this one group of people.
Right. Nice. So I know earlier we were talking offline about a couple of events you have coming up. Mm-hmm. So August 24th, which at the time that this will air is in 2 days, there's an event that you are having. So anyone who wants that information will need to sign up for the mailing list, and she can flood you with all the information for the event on the 24th of August. Hopefully by then everything won't be sold out, and you guys, well, actually, hopefully it will be sold out, but she can
hopefully.
Yes, hopefully it will be sold out, but she can make an accommodation for a couple of you guys if possible. But yes, August 24th. Hey, New Friends. All right. So I also want to talk about, and I know we're kind of getting close on time, but I do want to talk about your Carter Sade brand and your talk show host interview. Uh-huh. And just what made you want to try to be to audition for the talk show host? So give us some information on Carter Sade brand and how it differs from Hey New Friends, and then why you decided to go and audition for a talk show. Is that something that I know earlier you were saying that you weren't very comfortable with speaking and you're not very comfortable in front of the camera. So how did you get from discomfort to interview or audition?
Well, I'm so glad that you realized it's 2 different things, because I think that as I was talking about building the brands, I struggled with how to separate the 2. And I found myself putting a lot of the Carter Sade Unashamed This Is Me brand into Hey New Friends, until my friend was like, everybody in this group don't want to be entrepreneurs. Everybody in this group doesn't want to own a business. Some of them are okay with their 9-to-5s and that's what they want to do. And I had to realize that because with Unashamed This Is Me, I always talk about your dreams of being an entrepreneur, aspiring entrepreneur. And I had to realize there were two different things. But how Unashamed This Is Me got started was back in college. It was just a blog about my experience coming from a rural, small, impoverished community to the bigger city, Norfolk, Virginia, and, figuring out my life and the things that I went through in college to kind of mold me into the woman that I am today, because I literally shared everything in my blogs, from my personal experience with relationships, sexuality, everything I experienced was in this blog. And it turned into me just saying people shouldn't run from God in moments when they feel like they just don't belong or their life, their journey doesn't make sense. So with Unashamed, This Is Me, it's just encouraging people to pursue their purpose despite what the journey looks like to anybody else. And so with that is where we got this crazy roller coaster ride of me doing like social work, advocation work, to wanting to get into public relations and media and being a social entrepreneur, because they were like two different things. And I'm like, but I can do it all. And I meet people all the time who are like, oh, you can't do everything. Like, pick something, stick to it, master it. And I'm just like, I believe we're given multiple gifts. And if I've been given all these gifts, I'm going to use like all of my gifts. And so after doing blogging for a while, I realized that I like doing speaking engagements. Like, I would go to all these speaking engagements with my friends and I would hear them talk on panels about different things. I'm like, no. And I would offer opinion from the audience like all the time. And I'm just like, I should be doing stuff like this. Or I really like the idea of hosting events. Like, that felt good to me. And naturally, I think I became a host because my mother is one. And so my mother does, like, she travels with plays and she introduces them and she keeps the audience going. And if there's any events in the community, she's probably the MC of it. And so I grew up in it. And so I started to see it and I'm just like, I'm like my mom, like, I can do those things. Like, I should do events. So when my friends started launching businesses, they started giving me the opportunity to be a facilitator or a moderator or to host their events. And I really liked it. Like, I enjoyed it a lot. And then behind blogging, since I like to talk about topics, I was like, I should probably do a talk show. So then I was offered the opportunity to be on a talk show, a women's talk show. But nothing came from it because he was like really busy and he never really put it together. And then on top of that, like I said, I struggled because I'm a woman's woman, but I didn't want my brand to just solely be tied to women. And if I agreed to do that particular show, I would just be all about women again. And I'm like, I love us. I do. I really do. But I want men to be able to see that I help them and I support them too. And so I kind of struggled with that as well. So maybe it fell through the cracks for a reason. And then I auditioned for this new show, which is like open to everybody. It's family friendly, co-ed, and things of that nature. So I think my drive behind that was just being like, I wanted to come from behind the keyboard and to being on the screen. So, yeah.
Nice, because I'm not really a fan of being on the screen. And I'm just... It
was really creepy. Like, I had never... And these people were like so professional and legit. So you walk into the room, like, you know, they had all the interview people in the corner. And then like when you got to the back, it was like, whoa, this is real. Like, camera here, camera there. Like, scripts, they gave you the script. Like, here's your script. Here's the lines on it. This is what you base off your conversation on. I'm like, this is different. This is really real. And then it's like, pay attention to this camera. Look directly in this one. It's like so many different directions. Like, people telling you counting down when the show is over, cueing the music. It was a whole production.
Wow. But now you have some production experience.
Yeah, it was really, really cool. And now I'm like, okay, I did it one time. I could do this again. And then like just sitting down, doing the mock interviews with the candidate that they had that we were supposed to interview, it just felt really good. And so I was like, I could do this in like, if I were to have my own talk show, it would be something similar to like what you're doing, exposing aspiring entrepreneurs. Like, I just love that. Like, I love the grit and the grind, the testimony behind the journey. Like, I would love to know about that.
Yeah, I like to. So when I decided to start United Queendom, what I was coming across was a lot of people who had already reached a certain level of success, and they were telling us stories from like past tense. So it was like, oh, I used to do this, and oh, I used to do that, and oh, I used to be poor, and oh, I used to, but now I'm here. And it's like, I understand that you have to get through some things before you can actually share a story that a lot of people would think has value in it. Right. But you can actually absolutely share your value before you get to that point where people kind of start to feel like disconnected. So I was going to say, I get a lot of people now who write me and like, they're always just like, thank you for sharing this, or thank you for sharing this tip or this resource, because I try to be like the Unashamed This Is Me. I try to be very transparent about everything that I'm doing and how it's going, the highs and the lows, like the frustrating moments, like all of it. Cause I think people really need to know, like, it is not all glitz and glam. I be over here crying. Like, right. So frustrated, like so stressed out, like, oh my God, it makes no sense, or people don't like the idea, or it gets so bad, like I have to get out of my mind, like it gets really, really bad. And then sometimes people just only, like you say, post the good stuff, post the high moments, and it's just like, no, y'all need to know that I be over here having anxiety.
Like,
exactly.
Yes, anxiety. I dealt with panic attacks. I had to get like my mental in order to be able to do stuff like this because it's not easy.
It's not. And a lot of people, like my background or my bachelor's and stuff is in like psychology and like behavior modification. So it's like a lot of those negative thoughts and feelings that we have come from isolation. They come from us sitting alone and thinking that we're the only one dealing with a lot of things that 90% of people in similar and very different situations are also dealing with. So it's like, if we can let other people know, hey, even though we're doing completely different things, or maybe we're doing the same exact thing and you consider me your competition, like I can still pour into you something that will help you get through something or help you avoid going through something simply because you feel alone. And so like that's
like people need to take mental health seriously. Because,
absolutely.
Like if you decide like, okay, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, I'm going to step out on faith and do the thing that's like my heartstrings are tugging for, like I'm going to do that thing, like it gets dark. Like it's like you have the light, the vision, because you know what you're supposed to be doing. And then as soon as you decide to pursue that, it starts getting dark and you feel like walls are closing in on you. I really remember being in the season of depression. And I was like, I had to tell my best friend, like, I think I'm depressed. Like, I'm not this, like, I know myself and this is not me. Like, I'm depressed. And I would sit in the room in the dark. Like, I would have crying spells. I would write in my journal, like, all these things, all these, like, negative self-talk to myself, like, very insecure, very timid, not feeling worthy or like I'm doing enough. It was just, like, really, really bad. And I was like, okay, the devil's attacking your mind because you're actually doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Absolutely.
But having to get out of that, like, now I blog about it, like literally all the time, like, because it is a way out of it, but you have to recognize it for what it is. Because if you don't, then you just dwell in it and you can't dwell in that.
Absolutely. And that's what I was going to say, that, I mean, with entrepreneurship and just any type of major life transition of like growth, like you're going to be like the way that I know, and it comes again, I'll be 35 in November. And that seems to a lot of people very young. And to some people, which is weird to me, it seems very old. Like, bro, I'm only 35. Like you guys are like, you're 25 and you're saying 35 is old. So that means that you expect to be really, really old for the rest of your life. Anyway.
Right.
But it's like, coming from like when you have major transitions, like the way that I know that I am doing what I'm supposed to do and that I am on the path that is intended for me is when shit gets really hard. And it could be like the smallest thing sets off this major explosion in my life. And I'm like, bruh, there's absolutely no way that the devil would even try to bother me at this point if I was doing something that I was not supposed to be doing. So knowing that helps me push through even when I want to be like, fuck this. Like, I don't like, what is the point? Like those are moments where I am grateful for the fact that, you know, I have started therapy like a couple years ago or whatever.
For a therapist.
You are? I literally just finished my therapy session right before you.
Do you have like a grandma therapist?
I have like me and my therapist is probably a little older than me, not by much, but we could be friends. We honestly, me and my therapist could be friends. Like we sit here and we chit chat and she absolutely, but then again, like my grandma's only like 70. So,
right. So I don't have grandparents. I always think that like if I had grandparents around, because my grandparents died when I was a baby, so in their 40s. Yeah. And so I'm always like, if I had my grandma around, like she could give me that good like life lesson, self-talk type thing. And when I think about therapy, I'm like, I need a grandma. Like,
well, I can give you a couple of recommendations, especially since I know now, like I said, this one, we do virtual. So just like we're sitting here, we do FaceTime therapy.
No, this will be fine. This will be totally fine.
It's my favorite. It's one of my favorite things to do on Sunday, except for when I want to sleep. But I'll give you her information. Let me write that in my list.
I've been talking about that for so long. I'm like, at first I thought I needed a life coach, but I'm just like, I really need like a counselor, an advisor, therapist, thing like that. And
what I've learned from therapy is that because I'm usually the person somewhat like you, like where people come to me, like people gravitate to me. A lot of people my entire life have just come to me and just freely like told me their entire life stories. Okay. Like it's like people feel comfortable with me, which I've always found weird. Yeah. However, knowing that and then living the life that I've lived where I rarely felt like I had the same thing, where I could just go to people and just tell them things without judgment or without them giving me their input or without them, you know, putting their stuff. Like therapy is absolutely perfect for me because a lot of times it's literally me talking to myself and getting the same information, the same advice, the same guidance, the same assurance or confirmation, or that same, like, you're wrong. Why are you even, So
I have a friend, like my Sade, Tanisha. She'll tell me, like, and it's to the point now, she's like, she has this old soul. So if I didn't have a grandma, she would be my grandma. And so she'll tell me, now she's just like, she'll look at me like, you know, that's wrong. I ain't even got to say nothing because you know better.
Exactly. Like sometimes, and like we're looking like now, like when I have to tell my therapist something and I know that I know better, or that I'll be sitting and I'll be like, yeah, so, and I'll look away and then I'm like, I know. You don't even have to say it. I know.
Yeah.
And she's like, all right, as long as you know. And I'm like, I just had to say it out loud to someone else to kind of check me, even because for whatever reason, I wasn't checking myself.
You say it out loud, they might agree, but you already know you're wrong.
So yes, absolutely. But like, that's something that, knowing that you are going to be tested, like that's a part of the journey. And it's a part of the journey that if you change your mindset and look at it as, this is a telltale marker that is telling me that I am doing what I'm supposed to do, as opposed to, oh, this means that I'm doing these things wrong, or, you know, I must not be worthy, then it makes it a lot better. But I think that
not conforming to the culture, because it's like sometimes my struggle was just like, literally like, am I not appealing to the culture? Is the way that I'm doing things not appealing to the culture? And I had to realize, like, girl, like, stop trying to be a part. Like,
exactly. I think that for our generation, like those of us who are starting like our entrepreneurial journeys, and like we're like in that mid 20, mid 30, like 40-year-old range, like I think our purpose as a generation is to change the culture. Like, we're not supposed to fit in to the culture anymore. We're supposed to be showing people new ways of doing things, or maybe these are old ways and we're just getting back to the basics. I don't know. But this is a very common theme, is that people who have previously, like me, like my whole thing when I was a kid was, Teddi, you talk too much. You're disrespectful. You always talk when adults are talking. Like when adults tell you to do something, you should be quiet. I've always been vocal. Like my whole life, it's been, Teddi, you talk too much, be quiet. Now I can't stop talking. People pay me to talk. Like, it's like we absolutely should not be trying to fit in. But I think that's the importance of things like Hey New Friends and even United Queendom. Like we recognize that we're in a position where we need to see people on the same level as us who are doing like-minded things, but that we also, there are people above us or ahead of us in our journey who can reach back and pour into us. And that we also have to be willing and able to reach back and pour into those who are coming up behind us. Right. So, you know, you just saying that the demographic of Hey New Friends spans, you know, that is a community.
I'm glad that it does, because like there's so many social groups in DC, and I get people, well, the DMV period. And people ask me all the time, like, oh, how does your group compare to this group? And I'm just like, honestly, I don't even know what they got going on. So I don't know. I don't know how it compares. I just know that if they reach out to me, because some of them do, I'm always willing to work with them. Like, I'm totally fine with partnership and collaboration, but I don't like to get into the comparison game of like, there's so many people doing the same things, because I know that when I got what it is in my heart that I was supposed to do, that's what I was supposed to do. And so it get hard sometimes, because you got to make sure you're not being like, oh, well, you know, this group does that. Like, I should probably be doing that. Or they do that this way. Like, maybe I need to do that to get more followers or to get more, like, you know, traction. And I'm just like, but that's not the goal. Like, that's not what the vision you have for your group. Like, it looks different, and it's okay. Right. But sometimes when it does look different and you don't have anybody to talk to, that's when it becomes depressing and frustrating, because you're like, I know what I want to do, but I haven't seen it done yet. Right.
And that is super scary. It's scary. It is. Absolutely. But I mean, that's a part of just like cultivating like your own tribe, like you did. Like, you know, hey, I'm here alone. I need some things. I need some people. Right. Let me go find them. Like, you know, and then let me make it easier for other people to find their tribe. Like, that's United Queendom. Find your tribe. Like,
hey, people say no new friends. I hear that all the time. Like, oh, no new friends. I like my clique. And I'm all for cliques. I got my day one best friends since third grade. I got them. But as you grow through life and you experience different things, you need different people. And you don't come across those people by just staying in the house or just staying to your group. Like, as you elevate, you should meet new people.
Absolutely.
And I just hope like people just keep an open mind about it that way. Because when I first started Hey New Friends, people were like, oh no, I don't need new friends. And I'm like, I'm not asking y'all to be best friends, but y'all need relationships.
Exactly. And you need new ones. And you know, I've recently formed a very specific group of friends, because my friends from high school and college and like I said earlier, like I know a lot of people, like I went to school with a lot of people, I've interacted with a lot of people, but I don't know them. Like we're not close.
Right.
Like if I reached out to them, they'd be like, hey, we probably have a memory that we shared and then we could probably do some business. But like my friends, like not many of them, not even enough to cover one hand, are, even if they're starting businesses, the way that they're planning their businesses and their eventual goals for their business are nowhere near mine. Like my goals are huge, scary, huge, right? Like super scary. Like I keep telling people, like I'm going to own a couple of multi-million-dollar businesses within the next 5 years, right?
And I've been talking about real estate, and so my friends are like, "You're all over the place." I'm like, "Don't worry, it makes sense."
Exactly. As long as it makes sense to you. And like when I'm telling people like my story and my path and my journey, like, and I was sitting there and I'd be like, oh, you know what? That actually makes sense. That and that works together. And they're sitting there like, nah, bro, like you're all over the place. And I'm like, and that's great that you say that, because I know that what I'm doing is just probably not for you.
It's
like,
not. It's not. And I want to be well versed in all areas. So you can't tell me that I got to just play in this part of the world. Like
exactly. And you know, it's funny because I literally just had because I just started doing career services as an actual offering, and I was speaking to someone yesterday, and that's what she was giving me a background on her goals. She was like, "I'm just all over the place. Like I just want it all." And I was like, "You absolutely can have it all, but it all depends. Like how quickly you get it depends on what you're willing to sacrifice and how much you're willing to put into it." And she's like, thank you for saying that, because everyone else keeps telling me that I need to, like you said, pick one or two things, master them. I was like, absolutely not. I was like, if it takes 4,000, 8,000 hours to become a master, you could do that in 8,000 days. You could do that in 4,000 days, or you could do that in 2,000 days.
And but some people think that they can't just pick something up and put it down. Like you can't start something and not finish it, but you can. It's like go at your own pace in each journey, do what makes sense in that moment. Like, and come back to the idea later if you have to. Like, it's okay.
Absolutely. Because I mean, I tell people all the time, I say, like, I've lived many lives, but none of them have been completely pointless. Like there's something that I've taken from every job, every situation, every circumstance, every relationship that I've been able to apply to my ultimate goal, to where I am now. Like even at work, like, you know, something will come up and I'm like, I'm not really sure why y'all brought me on this team. And then we'll go and meet with the client and I'm like, oh, actually, I have a solution for that. And this is because of my background in this, or this is because of my experience in that. But it's like, you have to believe that what you are doing, like you have to have that feeling of alignment. We talked about this on season 1 with Angela Holton, but you have to, like, you will know when something is for you. And once you know it, it is going to be very difficult for anyone to tell you otherwise. But it helps when you have a tribe to support you in those thoughts. Like they may not get it, but they be like I say, Danny all the time, she'd be like, yeah, like that's not my lane, but you go for it.
Right.
You know? So it's like, you got to have those people who understand that you're not going to be the same, but whatever you are doing, it definitely needs to be supported.
Exactly.
So, yes.
And feeling like you're worthy of the support. Because I think sometimes I used to struggle with feeling like I'm worthy of that. Like I didn't want people to like just cling to me or feel like that I'm always talking about myself or I'm always talking about my goals and my dreams. Like I never wanted it to come off like that. So I used to always pray like, God, please make sure I have a humble spirit. Like, you know, please make sure, you know, like I don't want to downsize myself in front of other people, but I don't want to make it seem like I'm always bragging and boasting, because I know sometimes it can come off like that. But most of the time I'm really just excited about life and my ideas and things that I believe are going to manifest. And so I talk about that in a positive manner. And sometimes people take it as, oh, she just likes to talk about herself or the things she's doing, but I just be excited.
Right. And but the thing is, like, that's the issue with like people looking for new jobs. Like I'm 100% advocate for bridging the salary gap and all of those things, and people being like getting paid their value. But the biggest issue is that we don't talk enough about ourselves. We'll quickly, you know, promote and advertise something that your friend is doing. Like my line sister, she opened up Sankofa Yoga in Laurel. So as she's doing this, like I'm sending people emails and text messages and adding stuff to my email group for her. And I'm realizing like people were buying stuff from her wish list, but I'm over here like struggling. Like, how am I even going to pay for my website this month? Exactly. And I was like, you know what? Let me send out emails on my own behalf, and literally like requested people send $1 to each of my to my two businesses, you know, just to help support. And it was crazy. Not only like how much people actually contributed and how much I was able to raise for the businesses, but just how many people were like, I had absolutely no idea that this is what you were doing. Like, how did I not know? I see your stuff all the time. And it's like, well, because I don't tell anyone. So it's like, it's okay to be humble, but it's also absolutely okay to push your dreams and your thoughts and your ideas as much as other people, you know?
Yep, so, yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Even if it don't always make sense.
Exactly. Even if it don't always make, especially when it don't make sense. Because somebody might hear you and be like, girl, that's so great. And then you be like, you know what? You're right. That do make sense.
Right. Exactly.
All right. So let's see. Is there anything that any advice that you would give to someone, let's say moving to a new area, knowing what you know now and learning what you learned from your relocation and from starting Hey New Friends? What advice would you give to someone moving to a new location, looking to get into the culture and potentially pursuing like entrepreneurship all at the same time?
Network. And so basically that's it. At first, I never really understood networking. I think I looked at it like a place where you go and just give around a bunch of business cards that people don't look at later. But it's really about building relationships. And in order to build relationships with people, you have to put yourself out there in order to get to know those people. And so you have to be uncomfortable, like go places by yourself. When you first move somewhere, go places by yourself. There's plenty of outlets like Eventbrite and things like that where you can find your hobbies and your interests, and you can find something that you want to attend and just pull up, like go to the event, meet some like-minded people and connect, exchange information. And then from there, you continue to build connections. And so like, if it's entrepreneurship that you're interested in, like going to a seminar, going to a entrepreneurial mixer, which they have a lot in DC. People love happy hours. That's the culture.
Absolutely. Happy hour and brunch.
Yes, happy hour and brunch is the culture here. So if you really want to get out there and know movers and shakers or people who are just making a difference in their communities, you just got to go to events. Like you just got to connect. Just connect.
And those are the two events I don't do, happy hours and brunch, because they're usually doing times where like I'm mommy duty. 100%.
Yeah, it can be so expensive. And like when you think about your budgeting, like happy hour is expensive. Like I've been doing this whole like no liquor, just wine and champagne thing, and I've kind of saved money with it. But I was thinking about the fact that if I cut out wine and champagne too, do you know how much money I would save?
Absolutely.
So like it can be like getting out of networking can be expensive, but if you go with like mindfully, like, okay, no, I'm not doing this, I'm not spending this amount, then it's okay. Like you got to go with intention and with a purpose. And wherever I go, I always try to meet one person. I don't care where I am. Like I try to connect with at least one person, even if it's at the grocery store, because you just never know. And like, matter of fact, I met a young man at the grocery store in line and we introduced ourselves to one another. And I found out that he had just moved here from North Carolina and he followed me on Instagram. And now he writes me like, you're so inspiring. I'm working on X, Y, and Z and da, da, da. I'm like, see, connections. Like
exactly.
You never know until you open your mouth and introduce yourself to somebody. You just never know which way y'all can connect. It might not be business related. It could be personal. It could be spiritual. Like you just never know.
Right. Yeah, but you also might not know that you might also already be in their circle.
Exactly. Yes, and you already know people like, hey, that's my friend. So yeah.
Exactly. All right. Well, was there anything else that you wanted to share with the audience? Any last or final words for the episode?
No, I really appreciate your show because I feel like you cover everything. You cover everything. And I think I'm truly grateful for the fact that you tapped into not just Hey New Friends, but who Carter Sade is as a brand as well. Because it's sometimes hard, like I said, to separate the two and for people to see your vision in one area if they already know you for something else. So,
right. Definitely. So yeah, so we are going to have a nice little chat after this. Okay. Hopefully if you have some more time. But I just wanted to thank you again for joining us on the Queen's Conversations podcast. I gotta keep on saying that because Queen Conversations is everything. Podcast, blog, video. Anyway, but tell the people where they can find you, where they can find Hey New Friends one last time. So you have that information.
You can find me on Instagram or Facebook at I am Carter Sade, or you can go to www.cartersade.com. And Hey New Friends is on Instagram as Hey New Friends, one word.
All right. Well, thank you again.
Thank you.
You can find more information about Hey New Friends and Carter Sade on Instagram at Hey New Friends, and I am Carter Sade. You can also find her at www.cartersade.com. That's all we have for you today, guys. Don't forget, every Tuesday and Thursdays, a new episode of the Queen Conversations podcast drops for season 2. See you on Tuesday. Bye.